right, hello everyone. I am Dr. Harmony and I'm with the Queen Circle, and I'm here today with one of my favorite people, and he actually happens to be a man, so that says a lot that he's a favorite people, right? And it's Andre Paradis, and he is with Project Equinox. And let me tell you, I just wanted to tell you, Andre, and just everyone, just how honored and grateful I am for your generosity and your commitment and your kindness. And I know as we go through this podcast, people are going to be like, kindness? But it is. I mean, it is. Andre is full of love, compassion, and kindness.
Absolutely.
And just wants you to have a win-win in your relationship, right?
Yeah.
So
even when it's not pretty. Even when it's not pretty.
Yes.
I'll call it all out. Yes.
Especially when it's not pretty, right?
Right.
So, and so Andre, and I'm going to let him tell you about himself in a second, talks about, relationships and dating and being a coach for successful businessmen and women, and how challenging that is in our lives today. And so I'm with the Queen Circle founder, and Andre always graces us with his wonderful insight and spends time with each of the women, and it's just so amazing to see the difference. And what we were talking about earlier, Andre, sometimes I can say something 100 times and then Andre says it once and they go, well, Andre said.
That's funny, isn't it?
It is. It is.
and it's vice versa. There's things that we'll say that won't land until you say it. And,
right.
So it's an interesting phenomenon, but I think this is why having a co-host and a hostess, a co-hostess or co-host, whatever,
Yes.
works really well, because we can literally just bring both sides, and sometimes it's the way that it's said that clicks, and we have no way of predicting that necessarily, so we just do it.
Yes, and Coach, start from the beginning and let us know just about your background a little bit. I want everybody to know about you because you're just doing such phenomenal work from that just really strong,
Thank you.
healthy masculine energy, and really what you're up to.
So my generosity to show up, like you said earlier, comes from my God mission is to teach this to the masses. To bring nature and what works better, because we're going against nature in our culture. That's why everybody's confused and frustrated and they don't understand why. So to bring back what works best, and I'm not talking about going back to the 50s. There's a modern way to do what works best in relationships, masculine and feminine. So that's my God mission, to create a movement, Oprah big. That's the mission, Oprah big. That means in the air, in front of people every day, somehow. Well, whether it's podcasts, a TV show, live stages, that's where I'm going. So thank you for allowing me to come here and do what I do to spread the word and to spread hope. And ladies, there is hope. There's good men out there looking for good women, right? Even though sometimes it looks like meek, it's not really true, and there's reason for that. So that said, thank you again for allowing me to show up and spread this message. So I'm a relationship coach. My company is Project Equinox Coaching, and so I'm also a NLP practitioner. This is how I get my clients' trauma off their nervous system. I always say I can't get anybody in a healthy relationship until we remove the trauma from the past. And we all have trauma, small, medium, large, right? Beliefs about ourselves, about life, about the world, about people that actually completely get in our way, and we get stuck on something and we loop and loop and loop. So that's a big part of the work. The rest of it is, nothing I talk about is my opinion. I teach nature, science, biology, psychology, and number 5, nature, science, biology, chemistry of our bodies, our brains, different function, different motivation, different processing of everything, and then psychology, right? So nothing is my opinion. It's kind of a cocktail of the human creation, the human condition in every way possible. I have to say this, though. In order for you and I to have these conversations, we have to be allowed huge generalizations. When I say masculine, feminine, men, women, it's not all men, it's not all women, there's no such thing, right? So, because people always say, well, not all women are like that, and obviously, right? But the point is, for us to even talk about this stuff, we have to go for the generalization. What we call the norm, there's an 80-20 in everything that is out there. 80-20 rule with everything. There's 80% that is considered the norm or more the norm or normal, and there's a 20% outside. I call them hybrids. So as a woman, sometimes you'll find yourself in masculine qualities, but we both have both. So right, so that's fine. You're a bit of a hybrid that way. Men will find themselves with recognizing feminine qualities. It's okay. We both have both, right? The idea in the end is to understand which one you want to lean into the most per your physiology for the quality of life to be better. If you go against nature, we could do it. We could all do it, except the price to pay is what I see all the time is devastating. So how do we calibrate this thing? So allow us the generalization. Not every man's like this. No. And most do.
And I would add the caveat, and I have to say this for my women all the time. This does not, what we're getting ready to speak about and how we're getting ready to speak does not apply to bad people.
Right.
It just doesn't. Like,
Right.
so if you're in a relationship with a man that's beating you or abusing you, none of this is going to work. This is not applicable, and go get the appropriate help.
Yeah. And by the way, in my world, right, there's 4 types of women, there's 4 types of men, and the one you described, the bottom one, the boy who's erratic, emotionally and typically financially erratic and unstable, right? Those are not men. Men don't act that way. Men are not toxic. They're not dangerous. They don't use their strength to put women and children down or hurt people, right? Men do exactly the opposite. They provide, protect. For women, boys that look like men, by the way, and that's where the danger is, will take from you, where the natural masculine will give, support, lead, right, take care of. Like the feminine man, the toxic, those are the toxic ones. They're the one that take from you. They take power from women and children. Anybody weaker, they will never do this to me or a man because they get beat up. But so they address their power on the people that are weaker, typically women, and the manipulation and the cunning and the. So, just saying, right? If they look like men, they're not men. So if you find yourself in a situation like this, there's really nothing to do. You have to exit as fast as possible, but understand what you're dealing with quickly. Narcissism, being abusive, not being able to bring, I call it conflict resolution and or negotiate things, right? If the man makes you wrong for everything you're trying to correct or ask for correction for respectfully, and he makes you wrong for it, Houston, we have a problem. So those are what we call the bad ones. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you for that. So
you're welcome.
So second thing that I want to say is the 80-20 rule applies. There's also a way of operating for humans. When you hear new information, the typical mechanism is we judge it as we hear it. It's called listen to agree and disagree. I want the listeners to turn that off for a moment. Like, instead of judging what I'm saying, what you're saying, but I don't know if I believe this. Is that true? Wait, never thought of that. All of that keeps you from being in the moment and continuing being the conversation. You miss stuff. So I call it, just turn the mechanism off. Instead of listen to agree, disagree, which is what we do naturally, listen to learn. Just listen to learn. Let it in. Take some notes, right? And you can actually ask us questions on the next one, right? You can email us some questions and address these things. But it's very essential. This is the only way to really kind of open the channels to be present and actually hearing. So, second. Third, I get very excited sometimes and I curse. I just want to warn people. We're all adults. I'm not a redneck. I'm just a passionate French guy, and sometimes the punctuation goes there. So, again, just be warning. Lastly, it's a very important, and I've been doing this for 18 years. So I have a certainty about the things that I say because I have so much training. There's so much work done with couples and people, and what works and what doesn't work. So I speak with a certain directness and certainty, and sometimes the feminine, whether it's a man or a woman, will be offended by something that I'm breaking down, explaining, pointing out that they don't like about themselves, right? They feel kind of accused or exposed or even judged. I'm not doing any of this, I promise you. So I want you guys to be aware of, if you feel triggered, it's not because I'm trying to put you down, right? It may be something you recognize about yourself that you're not really thrilled about. Stay in the conversation. I'm on your side. I'm not trying to trigger or hurt you or judge you, none of that, right? I'm here to bring understanding and trying to alleviate the pain and confusion in those relationship that we talk, the things we call
My
a
husband
relationship.
always calls it, let me help you walk across that bridge. Walk across
you
the
go.
bridge
Yeah.
with the trolls underneath just coming
Right.
at you. So,
Yep.
and I
So,
can testify and confirm that Andre is committed to walking you as gracefully as you will allow him
thank
across
you.
those
That's it.
bridges.
Yeah. That's it. And then, I've had some really amazing women, get triggered and say, "Are you telling us that we should?" And I'm like, "That's not what I'm saying." Right? They said, "Hold on." Right. So I like the idea, even like if something triggers you, because that happens. Like I said, I speak so directly with certainty. Have the courage to bring it up. For the next round. Just seriously, for everybody's sake. Because if you think I'm full of crap, you stop listening and you're missing the whole thing. Same, right? So there you go. Now we're set up. We can start.
And how many years have you been married?
33 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There
So,
you go.
I'm
Let's
if you
do
want social
18
proof.
plus 33 because that's a lot. I mean,
I
a
know,
real
I know.
commitment there to
Yeah.
relationships. So
But
thank you.
thank you, absolutely. But I was confused. I come from a background. My family was insane, so it took a lot of work for me to wrangle myself up. I got myself together. By the way, get this. I've said my whole life I was never getting married. I was never gonna have kids because my family was completely insane, and I thought, why would you want to bring kids in this horrible plan? You know what I mean? That was really I said that my whole life. It's just a piece of paper. It's stupid. No one needs that. My whole life. And then I met my wife.
Done.
A stupid piece of paper became, well, if it's a stupid, just a piece of paper, what's the problem? Because my angel wife, just loves me unconditionally in ways that I could never imagine. And sort of brought me back into myself, into my heart, into my peace. She gets me, she loves me, right? She's never made me wrong for being a man. She's got 5 older brothers, so it's kind of easier for her to be with men, and she appreciates the man qualities, and even the roughness she appreciates, because testosterone does that. So, and then she melted my heart. She completely melted my heart, and she never brought up the marriage. I did. What? How? Seriously, I'm the one who thought I was so attached to her. She changed my life with a feminine warmth and essence and nurturing, and I can say unconditional love. I thought it became serious for me to announce it to the world in front of my family and friends. I wanted to announce, this is my girl. And I didn't think it was going to do anything, and actually changed everything. And we could have a whole conversation about that, but that piece of paper changed everything. It was me and her before. After the piece of paper, it was us. And now I'm responsible for us, our lifestyle, right? The future. And then throw a child in there, because that came right after, organically. I wanted babies. I mean, I dreamt them in. I met them in a dream one night.
Oh.
I saw them, I met them, this was 4 years before they were born. And so this man who was never going to do any of that, I literally have everything. I'm the most blessed person. So my cup spilleth over, and this is part of why I'm here.
Right. Well, and I get that, because that really, the contrast, and sometimes I and maybe it's just a female thing, beat myself up. I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I'd been, more on this page longer than on the other page as long. The hurt, the suffering, the aloneness, the emptiness. But it's so nice to have that contrast. It's so nice to know that being in love and being in the state of grace and forgiveness and being with someone with that unconditional love. I mean, if people really got that and understood that, we wouldn't have such a high divorce rate. Sticking through it, understanding. And I know earlier you were talking about the 4 types of men and the little and the boy, but there's the girls too.
Oh, there's 4 types of women. There's 4 types of women in my
entitled,
world too.
spoiled,
Yep.
me,
Yep.
slave driving their husbands, not appreciating their husbands,
Yep.
that whole 9 yards. That's just empty and shallow too,
Absolutely.
and it's horrible.
But again, people have traumas. People carry stuff from the past, right? And some of those things will show up in life continuously if you don't fix them. That's really, I call doing the work. You have to do your work, right, in order to get to the other side of the life that you want.
We were talking about, being in those long-term relationship and the contrast between the not having them or not even considering them or something like that. So let's, you were in visiting with our, another session of the Queen Circle with my
Yeah.
women, and it was just really powerful. And I think I would like to kind of start. I think a lot of women would like to know, and we have this huge movement, this huge conservative movement where young women are wanting to stay at home again. They're wanting to
Yeah.
raise their
Yeah.
children. Crunchy moms. I didn't even know about all this crunchy moms thing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I've been a pioneer of natural health and natural well-being for women for 35 years. So it's like now it's just mainstream. That's fantastic. But I think the next evolution is what we're here talking about, Andre, and that is having these unions, these sacred unions, these sacred marriage where women, come together and they're raising family and they're raising children and they're, being there for their husbands and supportive and really getting value out of that and being valued for it. So as these new women are stepping into this roles, how would they start to learn how to be, because there's not enough older women like me, right? I mean, there's just so many, there's so few, and all they're learning. And real quick, that feminist movement is still trickling down. My women in the Queen Circle, they're so upset. They're like, they just brainwashed us. This doesn't work for us. This doesn't serve us. This isn't getting me anything that I want.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep. It's
So,
completely
but it's
against
still
nature.
there. So how does a woman start? Where do we start? What conversation can we have that just lights them up?
I think we have to basically take inventory. I think all of my clients and people that come looking for this material with you, with me, in the field, is they realize it's not working. Like they've been sold a lemon. So I can't walk anybody here. They have to get here on their own, and then they start seeking out help, support, information, right, and some kind of system or community to help them. So the challenge from there is much different because they're open and willing. Like, how many women come to me and they go, I've been sold a lemon, I get it, I've done everything right per the culture, per feminism, per I don't need no man, per get independent, be strong and powerful, I make $100,000, I have a house, I have a car, I don't need anything from anybody, I'm no trouble, how come no man wants to date me? And they realize, oh my God, like, I'm masculine, I can't get out of it, I've been at it for 20, 25 years or whatever, 10 years, right? So it's mid-30s that women realize that that ideology doesn't work for most women, right? Most of them, like all my clients, 30, over 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, realize they're tired, money doesn't make them happy, their career is wiping them out, like energetically, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they're anxious, they're nervous, right? And they want companionship, they want some help, they want some support, they want somebody to come home to, but they can't even get a date. And they say stuff like, I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I have everything, I have money, I have no trouble. And I'm like, yeah, and they realize, or I have to tell them sometimes, like, because, you're stuck in your masculine, and the man that you want, who provide, protect, cherish, give, support, lead, and pay, right? Because this is traditional, men still want to do this. Natural males, masculine man, this is what we want to do traditionally, that's what we do, right? No manipulation needed. Boys don't want to do that, by the way, right? But men do. So these men who are traditional in character, they're still out there, absolutely. What they're looking for is traditional women. But women have been raised to refuse to be traditional, or that they're better than being traditional, and to not be traditional, and marriage is a trap, and children will ruin your life. Okay, way to go, right? So the problem is, again, realizing that you're over-calibrating your masculine, and then how do you that's my work, right? I just kind of rebalance them energetically. We don't undo everything that you've built as a woman, right? We don't undo this part, your masculine part. We recalibrate the feminine and then play with the scale. Sometimes you have to be like this at work, and then you're masculine. I get it, right? And I'm going to say it, it's kind of crass, but the way I put it is like, you can be masculine all day long, but like, leave your balls at work and show up in the world and you're feminine, and watch the world around you change, because your femininity is your superpower. Your femininity is what magnetize man your way, not boys. It actually shames boys away from you, so you really want to play with that. It's your superpower. It magnetizes men. Women would be nicer to you. Children smile, and dog comes sniffing, right? Like, it changed your entire world. Same person, different energy, different life. So
So I would like to propose a new topic that I've been toying with, and the women have been like very intrigued with it, is we are taught this whole masculine thing. I really call it, I'm a lot harder on you, on the women, than probably you are sometimes. I just think that they're just being cold-hearted bitches. I don't even think it's a compliment to say they're being masculine, because they're mean, they're callous, they're aggressive, they're backstabbing. You know, guys go out and compete. One man loses, the other one wins. They shake hands, they go have a beer. You know, a woman is like, I'm gonna get her for life. You know, I'm like, it's ridiculous. And to even give that, say that's masculine, no, that's just nastiness. It's just nastiness. And it's no different than, women go, or men are compassionate or kind of loving. Oh, they're in their femininity. Why can't they just be kind? I would never, Andre, put you in the femininity category, ever, ever. But I would say, yes, I know a man named Andre who is compassionate and loving and kind from his masculine energy, because I don't want feminine energy from you that way. I want masculine love. I want masculine strength. I want masculine comfort. You know what I'm saying? I want, if I'm your kid, your daughter, I want a masculine kiss on my boo-boo, right? I don't want,
absolutely.
Ooh. So, it's kind of interesting that we still are kind of sold that thing where, I don't know, some conversation, and I think we really need to address that, because being a woman, just be a woman. And when we soften and when we allow our femininity to shine and when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, I'm telling every single woman who does it is like, oh my God, I've been asking for this report for 10 months and I got it in 2 days. I mean, yeah, because nobody likes a bitch. That's why. Nobody.
Well, and you have to understand what respect is for men, right? It's completely different than what women think the idea of respect is. And so we live in a culture where women have been trained to be disrespectful to men, right? To put them down. They've been controlling, society for millennia. So it's our turn, right? So shut up, move out of the way, and I could talk. I could call you all kinds of names, but you can't. Right. You know what I mean? So that kind of push, to like somehow. And I posted this online a little while ago. I said, women are fighting an imaginary war on men. Right. And oh my God, the avalanche that I got, right? Women have been suppressed. We haven't been able to vote. That's all crap. I'm sorry, that's all crap. If you dig in really the history of things, men weren't allowed to vote unless they owned property and pay taxes. And women got the right to vote 10 years after that. Right? So there wasn't a man, against women thing. It was societal. It was, if you don't participate in culture, you don't get to vote. If you don't own property, you don't get to vote, right? Because
that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Even, but even people say, "Oh, it's all patriarchy." And when yes, during biblical times there was patriarchal systems established by that old covenant. But if you really, I'm just fascinated with this Bible, and it's like so fascinating. Who did Jesus appear to after his resurrection? 5 women. Women. Not men, and when you really look at that story and you really look at it from that perspective, it is shocking that people still are reading the most ancient book around, and they're still seeing it from this patriarchal lie. It's in there. Women were powerful. They were healers. They carried the bloodline of Jesus Christ. The whole beginning. I love this one with Eve. This is how powerful a woman is. Hey, babe, you want a bite of this apple? Like, there should have been like a whole book just on an argument about it. Like, Adam, well, babe, I don't think we should. I think we should really think about, but nope. He was like, yep, I'm going to get me some of that.
Yeah, she seduced him. Yeah. The power of seduction on the feminine is insane. Like I always say.
Unbelievable. Because
I understand these dynamics so well, because it's my work, right? I always say, it's going to be silly sounding, but like I say, if I was a woman, I would rule the world. Because I understand the effect of that. The way you could literally bring men to their knees and make them think it's a good idea in the process of whatever, because you have that kind of power over us, right? You just, look at me warmly, touch me on the arm. It means a lot to me.
Yes.
So it's.
And exactly for that reason is why I'm so super hard on my women, because That is so powerful. Are you lifting your man up or are you castrating him? Are you lifting your man up or are you disrespecting him? Are you lifting your man up or are you, being nasty? Right? And if your marriage isn't working and there's negativity and you don't know I don't know who he is, we're not connected. Oh, whose fault is that? Right? And it just really boils down to that, because we have everything you all want, so I'm confused.
And we have everything you all want.
Exactly.
Except with two different machines, two different beasts, two different, like Mars and Venus, Dr. John Gray, one of my mentors, Mars and Venus, it's not Mars and Venus, it's two different galaxies. That's not even like apart enough.
Right.
Everything that I value, everything that motivates me, everything, the way I process things, energy, thoughts, like feelings, complete opposite of my wife. Mm-hmm. So we're completely opposite in every freaking way, and it's actually why we're magnetized to each other, except eventually we get on each other's nerve, because he should do it like this and like this, it should be more this, should be more that, should be more this, more that. Now the finger comes out, you know what I mean? And the guy's like, what that, you know what I mean? Because it's interesting, because women are feeling machines. Right? If I do something or if I don't do something, by the way, right? The thought for men that if I could say something to hurt your feelings, I get that, but I could actually not say something and hurt your feelings. What in the hell? What in the hell? I didn't say anything. Like, how can we? But you can't, right? So you could do something and hurt her feelings. You could not do something and hurt her feelings. So again, we don't understand that part of it. It's very confusing, very frustrating, and again, because she's a different machine. We don't live through our feelings. If you're masculine, if you're feminine man, you do the same thing, which is the chaos and the shit show that comes with that. Right? But understanding a man's instinct and his operating system, we do everything completely opposite. But the point is, that's the magnet. And we don't get to change each other, trying to make the other one act right. Right? Women will try that, right? Men get married, they hope she won't change. Women get married and hoping she's going to change them. That's first line of disrespect.
Yes.
First line of disrespect, right? You can't do that. So the idea is not to try to change each other, right? And combative and make them act like you want them to. Both sides, because men will do it as well, though they tend to be a lot more agreeable with that. We know your flaws, and if it's not a deal breaker, look at her go. Let's just shake our head, and she's funny, right? You want to change us. We kind of take you as a whole.
As we are.
Yes, by the time we marry, we understand your quirks and your little, like silliness, and it's not a deal breaker, so I'm buying it all. You want to change it. You want to change us, right? So, anyway, that's a big responsibility and a big part of the disconnect. Anyway, the point is to not, instead of being combative or trying to change the other, right, we have to learn to embrace our differences. Embrace our differences. This is how we bond together. Like, my strength completely different than her strengths. Put them together, unbeatable under God, right? Like the union, and for us, creating a family, creating a life, building a kingdom and leaving a legacy. That's essential.
Yes.
Like, so we don't make each other wrong. We learn, right, to negotiate all the things, because there's his way, which makes no sense to her way. There's her way that makes no sense to his way. How do we meet in the middle? That's my work. How do we meet in the middle? Understanding this more, and opening the channel, having the tools, conversations, negotiate. That's the place. That's the fun part, by the way. When you get here, it's fun.
Yes. And don't you have that term man speak?
Well, I call it Manglish.
Manglish. I'm so sorry. Manglish. Thank you.
So, because we don't even understand that, that we speak two different languages. And it makes no sense, because we look at each other, you hear the words that come out of my mouth, I'm speaking English, right? So we're communicating, we're not. What I'm saying, it's not what you're listening for. And what you're saying, I'm not hearing, what you're trying to tell me. Because, so we have two different filters, but we don't even understand or know this. That's a big part of my teaching, the communication part, especially between cross-gender, because it's another source of pain, frustration, collision, right? Like, how many times you heard a man say, I'm going to say it, right? It's not what you said, it's the way you said it. What the hell? Forget the way I said it. I'm frustrated, so you're going to hear frustration, but but listen to what I'm saying. Right. I'm trying to tell you something here. But just the tone changing, just the volume going up will shut a woman down. Do you know what I mean? And now we're not listening. We're not communicating, right? So I always say communication is not the words that you use, because everybody talks about communication. Communication is about the words that you use. It's the results that you get. So if you're not getting the results, ladies and gentlemen, you're not communicating, even though you're looking at her face, you're speaking English, it's not working. So you have to understand how the other side works, another layer of the work, right? Understanding that part of understanding the filter for each, so we actually get to communicate and open the channels.
Well, that's one of the funniest things to me is that, a woman is like, oh, just be honest with me. Just tell me. Right. There you go, ladies. Did you see that response? That was natural. He did not know I was going to ask that. He did not know I was going to say that.
No.
It's priceless. And when they are, then we get our feelings hurt. And the irony is that we could sling mud all day long and just expect y'all to not, and then that one moment where you might be having a bad day and you're like, babe, that was really, you're like, why are you letting it hurt your feelings? You're just shocked, but you just look at me cross-eyed and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So we don't want honesty. We really,
no, I mean, like I said, if you can ask the question, I could tell you stories to make your hair scurry as this, of women saying, tell me the truth, be honest with me, please, and tell the truth, that she loses her freaking mind. Which then teaches us, you don't want the truth, right? You can't handle it. I'm in trouble for telling you the truth, so from now on, I'm not gonna. Yep. Now, the worst thing about this, ladies, is that when you've done that to a man, right, he will conceal everything from here on, and you can tell, because your intuition's active. You can tell you're not getting the whole story. You can tell you're not getting the whole truth. You can tell there's something missing, which makes you crazy, because now is he thinking about another girl? Like you go down the bunny hole, right? Because you're not getting. You can tell you're not getting the whole story, but it's a way of protecting himself, and it's actually a way to protect you, because it's not worth the trauma for you to know something like, I don't need to tell my wife that women are flirting with me everywhere I go. Like, why would I tell her that? Right. It would make her paranoid, it would make her crazy, it would start spinning. Don't tell her that. Right. Hopefully she won't listen to this podcast. But you know what I mean? Like, there's things you don't need to know. It's just going to hurt your feelings, right? So that's one way men conceal everything, because telling you the truth, being honest, we end up paying for. But I want to say this is, again, trigger warning. It's coming, ladies. Trigger warning, right? You want us to be honest, to tell you the truth, and we watch you lie to each other constantly. Yeah. In our faces, in front of us, right? You want us to be honest and tell you the truth, and you talk shit to, in front of me about this woman, and then when she shows up, you go, oh, you just finished saying this blue hair is ridiculous. Yep. And the one comes over in front of me, and you say, I love your hair. And I'm like, yep. Why are you talking? Why are you just freaking lie, right? So then men are left with, who are you? Right. But you say one thing, you do exact opposite. Trigger warning. I'm just saying, right? Like, so men are confused. They're like, well, are they? I can't tell them the truth. And okay, so what are these creatures up to? Confusion. And men pull back, and then you go, he doesn't share his feelings with me. He doesn't share his life with me. He doesn't trust me. He doesn't want to connect with me. Well, it's kind of a learned habit here. I'm just going to say that happens a lot. It's not. Or women just create stories. I had a woman, and she was like, for sure. My husband is, trying to help me, and it's not like, I know how to do this, and he just thinks I'm stupid. And I'm like, you've been married how many years? It was like a long time, 40 years. I'm like, do you really think that your husband thinks you're stupid? And she was kind of still triggered. And I said, no, really, are you with a man 40 years later that you really thinks you're stupid? And she goes, well, no. I said, that's all you. That's all you. Your husband's trying to help you. And it's no different. I know you race cars, so does my husband. And so when I drive, I get, race car coaching every second of the moment. And, in the beginning, it was just maddening, and I did the same things. I've been driving since I was 15. I know how to drive, yada, yada, yada. And now it's just I'm just like, why, thank you, babe. I sure do appreciate all those tips. Thank you. Thank you for getting my back, And it's just really fun. And then nobody's upset. My husband is just caring for me to go, hey, baby, this apex and this line and it's all very complicated to speak.
And it's so neat because I just turned it around. Of course, my husband knows I know how to drive. Of course, he does. He just wants me to be the best driver ever, and he's teaching me everything that he's ever learned.
And
Right?
that is protecting you, right? Because he's
Yes.
trying to show you how to be a better driver, let's say,
Yes.
right? So that means this
Yes.
is way of teaching you how to be safe, be protected by his teaching, by his. Do you know what I mean? That's another layer of protection. When women get complained that men are controlling, I go, stop 1 second.
Right.
Because if you look into it, is he controlling just to control you? Now, the boys will do this.
Yes.
Toxic. That's not what I'm talking about. Natural males, right, manage everything or have their fingers on everything, right? And their control, if you stop 1 second and not react to the control and see the source, it typically is a form of protection.
Yeah, I didn't
Right.
even see it that way. I just thought he was being nice and just trying
Right?
to.
Protecting you.
Yes,
I'll give you
exactly.
a story, right? My wife I'm in Los Angeles, right? So at the time the kids were little, and it's like 10:30 at night. I'm about to jump in the shower, right? I'm almost naked, and I see her like grab her keys. I'm like, "Where you going?" She goes, "We need milk for tomorrow morning." I'm like, yeah, no." And she's like, "We need milk for the kids." I'm like, "Well, it's 10:30. I would go, but I'm about to get in the shower. Like, you're not going. I know where you're going. It's 10:30 at night. You're woman by yourself. No,
No.
I'm not having it, right?" And she said, "But," and I go, "Babe, we'll play. We'll do something else. Instead of cereals, we'll have eggs, right? It's okay, right? I don't want you outside, right?" And so a combative woman would go, "You can't tell me what to do. I'm a
Right.
grown woman, right?" That's not what she did, right? She kind of like was trying to provide for the kids. I get it, but to me, it was unsafe. If I can't be there with you, you're not going, and I can't go, right? Protection, not
That's just
control.
love. That's just love.
Yeah.
That's
So,
putting
and I'm
it out
accountable-
there.
and I'm accountable for your safety, which
Right.
means I have to like bring forth these things.
Right.
Like, we're not doing that. We're not buying that, right? I'm protecting the family, protecting the bank accounts,
Mm-hmm.
protecting. You know what I mean? So often, again, when you feel like he's controlling, if he's a man, notice that he's probably more protecting, and instead
Mm-hmm.
of like getting combative, you can actually go, "Oh, he's so
Aw,
sweet. He
he's so-
loves me.
Right.
He loves me." Total same situation, two different end result.
I agree. Now, I want to jump into, as I share with everybody,
Yes.
y'all. Andre is always is our favorite guest speaker at the Queen Circle, and we hold those sessions twice a year, and they're about 6 months long each. And what we do is have Andre come in and explain things and give the women an opportunity to ask questions. And so we ran out of time. I think 2.5 hours, 3 hours. I mean, it just went on. We could have still been there, right?
Yep.
And so we have some questions. And I found it interesting that money was I had 5 women that asked about, it was a variety of other questions. And so I'm going to just kind of, how to talk to men about money was one of them. So,
Yep.
when you're dating and if somebody has higher, the same, or lower, so each category is probably going to be a different conversation.
Right.
Or, how to support a man with an inconsistent employment career and is entertaining a career change, but doesn't know what to do, but the wife doesn't want to be nagging, but wants to be, so that's a great question. How, this is a crux, this is important, he needs to provide, how do you not be pushy or nagging, but hey babe, the bill's got to be paid, right?
Right.
Right, or I had another woman, how about women needing to do most of the work, i.e. provide? So there's just these questions, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of money issues.
Yeah. But what comes with money is power. So it's really, in my world, it's not as much as money issue as a power issue, right? Because whoever holds the money typically holds the power. So what happens is a woman, she's making more money than him, kind of naturally, if you don't think about it, if you're not aware, will take control, because now she's controlling everything because she has the power. So she decides what gets bought, what gets paid, what gets purchased, when he needs to stop doing, when he needs to stop buying, like maybe controlling his hobbies if they cost money, you know what I mean? So that is not a relationship, that is not a partnership, that is not a teamwork, right? It's dictatorship. Right, so there's all the negotiating that has to take place in between that. Women who make more money than their man, especially if it happens like from a promotion, do you know what I mean? There was a system in place where we We shared the money. You know what I mean? He paid most of the bills. Right? Right? And all of a sudden she makes double what she used to make. Right? Instead of her taking over the relationship that works, the partnership, the teamwork that works, is they don't change the rule of engagement. She doesn't try to control everything from here on and throw the whole formula into a spin, which it's not going to go down well with a man who's been in charge and is accountable for everything up till now, right? You don't get to take that. You negotiate it, but stuff like keep everything as is, and that extra income goes into investments. Look at that. See, that's what partners do. That's what partners. I don't like that word partners, because partners implies 50-50.
Right.
Like teamwork, right? That's what a team works. We have each other's back, we have each other's interests, we have our lives' interests. How do we do this? And now try to overpower, because in most people find relationship as a power struggle, and that's one of them with money. Who's
But
leading?
wonder, like, I do have several women. I'm really thinking about this now, where the man's just not organized. He's not good with books. He's not good with paying the bills.
Yeah.
And unless the woman is in charge of the books.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a distinct, just because you're in charge of the books doesn't mean that that's just part of your responsibility to pay the bills on time. That doesn't,
Right.
I'm not sure that the power should come out of I pay the bills, right? Well,
Right. No, again, it's typically who makes the money that takes the power.
Okay.
Right. So again, paying the bills or being responsible for the books, right? This is something we negotiate. Do you want to do this? Because my wife is better at that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I cook. I'm French. Do you know what I mean? So these are things that are inverted, but negotiated and agreed upon, right? And some things exact opposite. Some things that she does the laundry. She loves doing the laundry. She had all these little formula for scent and stuff that I don't even understand. I take care of the cars. I can take care of the house. I fix it. You know what I mean? So we have traditional pieces. We have untraditional pieces, but they've all been negotiated.
Sure.
So that's the magic. People who have each other's successful couples have each other's back, and instead of trying to push on the other, they come together, negotiate, discuss, agree, and stick to the agreement. And
But what does a woman do if her man is just not providing as well? Or
I mean, it's I hate to say it, but it's getting more and more common.
Yes.
Because women are at work and killing it in every area of life. And I hate to say this, but it's kind of a paradigm of nature. When you're in your masculine energy as a woman, you will attract feminine, passive men.
Oh.
So that's just nature in action, right? So masculine attracts feminine, but if you invert it, it still happens, right? But the problem is, a woman pushing, competing, fighting, working, understand that your biology is not made for that. Right, we don't have the testosterone that we have because we're built for that, right? You're not. So when we flip the script, right, you'd end up living or pushing through your adrenal glands. You don't have testosterone, so you can fight and flight and everything that has to be produced, and that burns a woman out quickly, right? In her 40s, and a lot of women, you notice this in that mode, get sick. All kinds of cancers, all kinds of diseases pop up because adrenal. We now know this. The adrenal burnout syndrome. There's different names for it. It's documented. Women in fight and flight mode, for living in a man's world, pushing like a man. We now know that adrenaline in your bloodstreams for 20 plus years actually burns your organ from the inside.
Oh, wow.
My doctor calls it battery acid in your blood. It opens women up to all kinds of diseases, and you wouldn't believe how many women I know that are married and have that responsibility, and all kinds of cancers. It happened to my own sister. Dry eye syndrome, started losing her hair. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't stay asleep. Even if she slept, she never felt refreshed. She had cold symptoms for 6 months. They did all the tests. Nothing wrong with you. They checked the hormone. Nothing wrong with you. She goes, there's something wrong with me. Adrenal burnout.
Oh, wow.
And I told my mother, because she refused to change her lifestyle. She's one of those high power investment banker type job. But we saw her health decline rapidly. And I remember telling my mother, next year be ready. She's not stopping. She refused to stop. She thinks that makes her cool and tough. And it says by next year, she's going to have some kind of cancer. And what happened is she got lung disease that's unexplicable because it's a type of lung disease that they know where it comes from. The other one is
You don't know.
stress.
Right. Right.
Right. So she's got the one that they couldn't predict. They don't know the source. I'm telling you, it's stress. Right. It's adrenaline in her blood her whole life. And we found out why that is because she actually had pneumonia at 5 years old that damaged her lungs. So it became the weakest part of her. So that's where she got attacked, right? And now she's living with somebody else's lungs in her body. That's what it took to stop her. Ladies, not cute.
Well, and I will have to just, I know I'm really hard on women and I'm hard on myself, but it is, there is everything that Andre is saying as a naturopathic doctor. This is so spot on, right? And then you throw in premenopause into menopause. Women can start menopause as early as 35. That's rare. But 40, 45,
stress.
50, and because of stress, exactly.
Yep.
This adrenal burnout. And so really part of the Queen Circle is talking about health, hormones, meditation, working out, eating organic, etc. Because
Healthcare.
if we're not taking care of ourselves, in all fairness, a lot of women, once they're in that empty nest syndrome and their children are gone, they don't even have the juice anymore to figure out how to communicate with their husbands.
Absolutely.
Some of them say, I love my husband, I just don't know who he is, but they don't even have any juice to fight, to think. They're just so burnt out. And their hormones are just totally whacked. They're eating crap food. This crap food is fueling, more problems with the adrenals, more problems with the hormones. So, in fairness, albeit I'm hard on women because I think that we just have so much power in our fingertips, and so it's a great responsibility. Where are we going to take society? Where are we going to lead our children and our husbands and the world, right? So, but on the flip side, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to end up with these chronic diseases like Andre is talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's very, very common. You wouldn't believe how many of my clients,
it is common. Yeah.
I can't do because I have a condition, right? With and the husband are passive. And she's amazing. I'm like, you douche. Because it pisses me off because it's temperamentally,
they just don't care. They don't even have any juice to care anymore. They're beat.
But sometimes they never really had it, right? There's soft men who left women to support them. So go girl, boss babe, get that. I'm so proud of you for that second job, right? You get that promotion. I know guys like this, right? Like just pushing the girl into masculine. Meanwhile, he's an artist. He's on the couch spooning the dog. He's smoking a joint. He's writing his music. Yeah, I'm so proud of you, babe, right? Like we flipped the script and these guys don't want to support. These are boys, by the way. They can't provide, they can't protect, they don't want to, right? They don't give, they take, right? They become the feminine energy that's being taken care of. It's upside down, inside out.
That's so upside down.
Women fall apart. Women fall apart, and by the way, these guys also fall apart. By not being productive, they die young. Women die young when they're overproductive. Men die young when they're underproductive. Nature in your face one more time. So it's the choices that we make. I mean, a lot of the work that I do when I speak on podcasts everywhere is to sound the alarm.
Yes.
We know it doesn't work, and the way the culture is teaching women that you're supposed to be everything. You're supposed to be a CEO, make 100K, and try to be a mother and a wife, a good mother. It's impossible.
Yeah, be mother of the year, be sex kitten in the bed, and
right.
It is. It's just impossible.
It's impossible. It's
really
absolutely impossible.
tough,
But that's the lemon that we're sold, right? That to be like, I have a woman who called one time. Oh my goodness, she has a 10-year-old boy who's like special ed. He was so special ed that he has to be institutionalized. So the husband has a job and she has a job, right? They make a lot of money and the kid's taken care of, right? But the institution, as the kid turned 10 years old, he went into prepubescent, right? He became violent. And they're like, you're going to have to take him because we no longer can take care of him.
Sure.
Right? So she's like, oh, wow, okay. So they took the kid in, but she had to be home taking care of him full time.
Wow.
Right? Special ed. And her pain and suffering came in, months into this, and she's like, I am not productive. I'm not making any money. Right? I'm just like, I feel so guilty. I'm not supposed to. All I do is take care of him. Right? And she was shaming herself because she was raised that unless you make money and contribute to the bank account, right, you're less than a woman.
Right.
Right? And I'm like, okay, hold on. So your husband make enough money for both of you? Yes. You're not contributing financially? Not at all. It makes me feel so guilty. He works out. I'm like, what do you think you're doing at home?
Right.
What is more important to this child than his mother present to nurture, to love, to help him, to to feed him, to keep him clean, right? Take care of the I call it CEO of the household, right? There's some power here.
It is.
You know what I mean? But like she shamed herself. She was like devastated and shamed herself for just being a provider of her special needs. And it's funny because when I nailed her with this, because I kind of leaned in hard, she like, I kind of went, oh, wow. And everything she was raised to believe, go girl, boss babe, strong, independent, participate, fight like a man, push like a man, have it all, realize, okay, I think I missed the boat. I have to rethink this whole thing. So,
and she does have it all. She has a husband that loves her, a husband that's providing, a child that, she's able to care for and take care of. And she doesn't have to be it all. She doesn't have to burn herself out, And I loved how earlier you were talking about, this is part of the negotiation, the communication, sticking to it, and when we have these conversations with our husbands and our spouses, then everybody's very clear and there's no mismanagement of expectations.
Yes, when we make agreements and we talk about everything. Yes. Now, the worst, I was talking about this last night in another group, expectations are a sure way to get, your feelings hurt.
Oh, for sure.
But we all kind of do it, which is interesting. The human condition, I researched that for a while. Because we have expectation how people should talk to us, how they should treat us, how they should behave with us, how they should. Right? All these shoulds, but we never share our expectation with anybody. They just, and people have said stuff like, well, he's known me long enough, he should know. I'm like, hell no. What are you talking about, right? Like, so all expectations often lead to hurt feelings, and now we assume he's a jerk, he doesn't care, or she's crazy, or you know what I mean? So assumptions are no agreements. We have to talk about this stuff.
Yes.
I want to do this. I'm better at this. You want to take that on? You do? Okay, good deal, right? Again, some are more masculine up front. I don't care. We both have both. But the agreement, the relationship is man and woman, different strength, come together, build a legacy, right? But bring each other's pieces that are better to the formula. That's it.
Well, and I'm glad you said that because one of the questions that the women had is really a good question. When two strong personality partners disagree, how do you handle it without a lot of conflict? Yeah. And I think that a lot of conflict would be eliminated if before we get married or before the first 10 years, we had these conversations where we're like, hey, I pay bills on time. Could I be in charge of paying the bills? And every month I give my husband a report. Every month I give my husband an update. There's no secrets here, right? I'm very transparent about it. And then we're like you, he does the cars and he does the stuff, and I'll never forget one day he goes, it was kind of like about 3 years ago, and he goes, hey babe, would you mind stopping and getting the car washed? And I'm like, what was that?
I don't really do that. I don't
think that was my job. And of course I would, and I can, but I was just kind of astonished.
As an adjustment for this week, something got in the way, needed your help differently.
But when there's a conflict, and I think that this is a great lead into terms and standards and where people are standing on things like that.
Yeah, and again, it's all, like I said, the whole thing, this, right? You've had children. Right, the relationship we had before the children is a very different relationship that we have after the children.
Oh, for sure.
Because the way I supported her before that was a lot more linear and logistical, right? The mechanics of life, the logistic of life, the outside world, and the household and the lifestyle, right? Have a baby, everything she used to do normally, right? Kind of turns into something else, right? And now I have more responsibility, different responsibilities, because now she really. She's not sleeping, right, for the first year or so. She's not sleeping. She doesn't have the power, the energy to shower. She's sleeping when the baby's sleeping, which is 3 hours here and there, right? She can't do the grocery shopping. The laundry piles up. The dishes, right? The house goes to hell. I have to readjust. Because now I have to support differently for the whole thing to work, right? So I'm lovingly want her to rest and relax and sleep what she can. And meanwhile, I work 10-hour shifts. And I learned to come home and stop at the grocery store to buy stuff because there's nothing to eat in the house because she never got out of pajamas, right? She's exhausted. Now, I can make her wrong for that,
Right.
Right? They go, you're changing all the rules. It's your job. I'm at work 10-hour days. Well, no. But again, there was a whole new layer of negotiation and agreement, right, that had to take place. And then, of course, it eases up in the second year of. And so it's a very interesting thing. So a concept is, life changes, things change.
Right.
We have to constantly readjust. Also we grow, each of us at different rates, not different rates, but like every decade we're a different person. If you think about it, when what you thought was cool and valuable when you were 20, in your 30s, like, not so much. In your 40s, like, God, we're stupid. In your 50s, like, retarded.
I'm embarrassed I even had that thought.
You know what I mean? So we actually grow as humans, and the context is you have to keep growing together. You have to keep, bridging those conversations, because people say this all the time. We grew apart.
Yeah.
Like, no, you stop talking.
Yeah.
You stop negotiating, right? And you start assuming he doesn't care. Again, when things get tense, right? There's blaming, there's pointing the finger, more separation. So it's the exact opposite of what they used to do in the beginning. Often, I'm just saying. So.
Yeah, but I think you have a methodology that you teach in the class when, let's just say, let's just say that a woman absolutely disagrees with a man's decision, their husband's decision, and it has a quality of morality about it, something. I'm not, nothing major about it, but how would you suggest that a woman, hey babe, I'd like, do you have time to talk? What is that process for women to be able to approach a sensitive topic, make their position known, and without castrating or without demeaning or disrespecting their husband? And at the end of the day, and I really want to add this in because humans, all of us forget it, we're all going to make mistakes. We're just all going to screw up, right? We're all sinners. And so at the end of the day, I think really, as I'm in my 25th year of marriage, it's like, wow, it's the forgiveness and the grace. I love my husband. I made mistakes. He makes mistakes. It's going to happen again. And it's in that space of saying, hey, babe, this is my thoughts about this. And giving him the grace to go and figure out what he's got to figure out, right? Even though, and I've complained the same complaint. Yeah, but it's going to affect me too. It's going to affect me too, right? Well, so can you elaborate on that communication process?
Well, yeah, so it goes back to, I'm going to say it, right? There's a whole, I have a script for these things, right? There are different scripts for different things, but the approach is respectful. If you want your husband to adjust, right? To change even, right? Women say men don't change. No, if you approach him respectfully, the hero in him wants to please you and he will adjust. So, but if you put your finger in his face, you be combative, you forget that he's a warrior, right? Attack a warrior, he's going to push back and attack you back. So now he has to protect himself from you as opposed to protect you. Same, you know what I mean? So it's how you approach him. So we both want to be loved and respected. But in order for a man to love you, he has to feel respected by you. When you respect a man, he feels loved and cherished.
And don't you think that if
when
you
love a woman,
him this wagging, do you think that will make him worse? Especially if he might be wrong.
The disrespect will push him, right? He will fight instantly, right? You're dealing with a warrior. Make him wrong, he's going to push back, even if you're right. This is the big one. Even if you're right, you're making a good point. No, you can't approach me that way, right? Disrespectful is trying to mother me, right? Mother me and make me do something that you have no right to lean on me with. You could invite me to change. That's like his instinct wants to do that. But if you try to push me to changes, resistant instantly. Not because he's a jerk, because he's a man, and a man, his freedom of choice is primarily what he values himself for. My choice. So invite me to do something, and I'll choose to do it. And if I care for you, I will absolutely do it and adjust and shift, right, for you. But trying to make me do it, right, now you're mothering me as disrespectful. I want to say this. See if you notice this, because I'm sure you have. And ladies don't really like that story, but this is just what it is. Have you noticed that if you ask your man for anything different, better, there's three things. If you ask for more, different, or better anything, you get less. Yeah, just asking for it, you get less. Because an ask, I want you to spend more time with us.
Got it.
Right? It resonates like a command and a demand. Men do not respond to command and demand, especially not from the feminine.
Right.
Right? So you ask for more time together, you get less time together. You ask for more intimacy, you get less intimacy. Not because he's a jerk. If he's masculine, it's an appropriate way to approach him. Right? That's the Manglish I'm talking about. You have to learn to speak Manglish to approach him respectfully and trigger his need to fix, because we're neurotic fixers. So this doesn't work for me, babe. What? How do you say this doesn't work for me? And I'd like you to pay attention, and maybe kind of make a little space for us, right? Like literally pull as his instinct to provide the fixing, to fix it, and to be your hero. And he's going to be putty in your hands. You're going to bring out the best in him and the man that you want. But if you wait till you're frustrated because, you didn't say the right time, the first time, he's done doing it on your timeline, you get frustrated, and then you wave your finger in his face, you have a battle. And that's what most do, not understanding respect from us. So if you respect a man, he could cherish you and take care of you naturally. If you don't respect him, he can't fall in love with you, he can't love you. On the other side, if a woman doesn't feel cherished and loved, she can't respect the man. So respect a man, he feels cherished. Cherish a woman, she feels respected. So we both need both, but they occur backwards. Now that's a huge part of the work to teach, understanding that dynamic, how to bring the best out of him, understanding respect, because what disrespect us doesn't disrespect you, so that's this blind spot. How do you bring the best out of her? By cherishing her feelings, right? Because her feelings are big and loud and constant confusing, but embrace, right? Join her in her feelings. Do you know what I mean? She'll feel cherished, and you bring the best out of her instead of, making her wrong for feeling that way. That's what we do, right? You shouldn't let that bother you. Now she wants to kill you. Because that's what we do, because that's how we do for ourselves. Like, just forget about it, right? So we think this is our solution for you. Let it go. Why does that bother you? That's silly. She wants to kill you.
And I think it kind of leads into another question was, men, I think I'm trying to phrase this, men don't enjoy being challenged by a strong partner.
No.
And they do perform a much more easygoing. And it's so interesting because I used to be just a big bull in a china store, and eventually I just got tired of picking up all the china, right?
What a mess,
that, right?
I'm stealing it.
Got it. I just got sick and tired of it. It was just a huge mess afterwards. And so, but then when I first started practicing, let's just say, call it more easygoing, I felt like I wasn't being heard. And that's why I really was the last question, how do you handle conflict or get your sayings out? And one of the things I learned recently is in Ephesians is that it is very clear a woman is to respect a husband, and a husband is to love a woman. And it's so it doesn't say love your man, it says respect your man. And that's pretty powerful, because that's that's a really huge part of your platform.
Respect your man, he feels loved. Love your woman, she feels respected. Now we're dancing together, it's flowing, right? We both need what we require the most. Because you can say, but there's surveys on this, right? We did surveys like in the mid-90s about, we asked 10,000 men, if you had to choose between being loved by your wife or respected by your wife, you had to choose. Of course, you want both. But if you had to choose, right, which one would you go without? And 83% said love. I'd rather
they'll go without
I'd rather feel, they'll go without the love as long as she respects me. Because I can hang in there with respect. Right? She gets me, she respects me, she believes in me. That's what it feels like. All right? She doesn't love me, well, it's secondary. On the other way,
that's why being challenged all the time doesn't work.
It's disrespectful.
Because there's no trust, there's no respect, there's no belief, there's no
questioning, this mothering, this combativeness, all this stuff that doesn't work.
Right, it doesn't.
So it's interesting, but often what happens, women say, "I'll respect him when he does something respectable." Again, mistake number 2. Right? It's like you have to understand that being appreciated for what he provides is a form of respect. It's like putting wood on the fire. You're going to get more fire, right? To hold back the wood, thinking the fire is going to keep going, is what doesn't work. You know what I mean? So you put wood on the fire with appreciation and watch him keep blowing it up. But so the idea of like, I'll respect him when he does something deserving. No, you respect him and appreciate him for what he does already, and then you could ask for more because the fire's bigger. It's got more, right? like it feels like a hero. The more he feels like a hero, the more you could ask of him. or invite of him, because again, asking doesn't work.
Right. And I think that, and I want to know what you think. It goes back to that very beginning statement that you were making, is that, when we're dating or we're getting to know each other, managing those expectations, know who you're getting involved with, because this shouldn't be a surprise. The woman is like, oh, he's going to change this, this, and this when we get married. That false expectation of change. He's going to be exactly that. So if you can't have respect for him because you're not pleased with something, that really still goes back to the woman, because you saw this, this was there. You didn't manage it before. You didn't have a conversation about it before,
Yep.
and you just think he's supposed to change because of some piece of paper or marriage. So I think that it's just really immature way of thinking or something. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
But I think part of it, right? If you understand, often, and I hate to say it this way, Tony Robbins said it this way. He goes, "Women don't say what they mean."
Right.
Right? So you say something, but often it's in the moment, and it doesn't mean it's going to change tomorrow, possibly, because you're in your feelings, right? So running to your feeling change, your opinion change, your ideas change,
Absolutely.
your decision changes, right? So this as women. So when a man says, "I don't want babies," and you go, he's going to change his mind.
Right.
So notice how feminine I am, right? Except men don't do that. Men do not change their minds. You do want to be married? No. That's not going to change. Do you want children? No, I've done that already, right? And women say, "Oh, he's going to change his mind." Seriously, I've had women in a relationship for 4 years with a man, right? And it says, "So when did we start a family?" He goes, "We talked about this 4 years ago." I said,
Right.
"No." I said, "You meant it?" He goes,
Right.
because she thinks it was in the moment, right? And now that they're married, have a life, that he's going to change his mind. But men don't change their mind. So the questions up front as you're dating, right, for compatibility, for lifestyle, for future, is essential. That's one of what I call it, the 3 C's. The 3 C's you have to have, to do it long term: chemistry, compatibility. Compatibility means we have to talk about what the future looks like. We have to be on the same page long term. So there's a lot of questioning and compatibility to discover it. Most people don't go in deep enough. They fall in love, they get married, and realize they're not compatible.
Right.
Long story. I have like 115 questions that I pose to my clients to discover compatibility deep before going all the way in. And the last one is the 3rd C is communications. And communications we could all learn. Again, we have 2 different filters. We often miscommunicate. We always miscommunicate, really, until you learn how that filter is different than that filter, and then you start practicing the, wait, hold on, he's not going to hear that. I have to say this way, Manglish, right?
Well, and I'm so glad you said about the feelings, because I can remember just being menopause and not having the proper, treatment by identicals, and really getting, women it's not as bad as it used to be, just being misdiagnosed. And it's just flat out menopause, and just the stuff that would come out of my mouth. And I'm like, and then 3 days later, I'm like, happy as a lark. And my husband's like, what? And I'm like, babe, I didn't mean any of that stuff. Because it was just a feeling, and it changes every day.
Absolutely.
And I teach the women that all the time. They don't even know where they want to go eat. Like, clearly, how are they supposed to be stuck on an emotion that's going to change with the whim of the day, right? And I'm not proud of that as a woman, but it is what a woman is. So I'm glad that a man like you is teaching. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. I tell my husband all the time, just ignore it. Just stop. Just don't even.
I teach men to embrace them. And what I mean by
my
that
husband does that. He does.
What I mean by that is this, right? So I'll give you an example that, my lovely feminine, lovely wife, right? We do Sunday brunches here. I live in California. I live in Paradise. We have brunch by the pool on Sunday morning, like twice a month, right? So this is something we do. Sunday is always a family day. It's always, we're outside, right? Blah, blah. So it's and, but every now and then, unbeknownst to, sometimes out of timing, or her mother would call.
Yes.
On a good Sunday, right? We had a lovely day, and she gets off the phone 45 minutes later, mad as hell, right? Right? So now the energy's changed. Like, seriously, the mood is completely changed. Now there's tension in the space. Everybody's uncomfortable because my wife is angry at her mother, right? So before, this is what us men do, before I would say, why let that bother you? She always does that. You should know it's coming. Why do you let that trigger you, right? And I become the enemy because when a woman is in her feelings, good, bad, different, that's who she is. You can't negotiate feelings. We don't understand that because we negotiate. We don't drive through our feelings. We go our logic. Forget about it. Let it go. Right? You should not let that bother you. Right? This is where you hate us because we're actually, again, we're denying your feelings, which is who you are in the moment. I might as well throw a brick in her face. Now I'm just trying to help, but it makes it worse. Right? So, okay, so that's not working, using my male logic to negotiate her feelings, because you can't negotiate feelings.
No.
So, get this. So instead of that, I learned with my lovely wife, right? Because I don't like when she's in that space. She doesn't like when she's in that space, right? But she may get stuck there for hours. So, get that, you ready? So, okay, now she's upset. Okay. Don't be a dude here. Don't tell her what to do, or how to feel, right? That doesn't work. You've been there. So, get this. I go up to her and I go, I'm so sorry your mother makes you mad, babe. I'm really, really, really sorry. I meet her in her feelings. You see it?
Yes.
I meet her in her feelings. I'm sorry your mother makes you mad.
Yes.
I'm really sorry. I know it happens. That's not fair. It's not cool. Right? And the moment I meet her in her feelings, she's like, she always does that. I know. I just don't know why. Right? It's just really crappy. It was just such a good day. I meet her there.
Right.
I acknowledge her feelings. Now she feels connected to me, as opposed to I'm the enemy telling you not to feel that. Are you ready? This is the $10,000 next question. I teach this. This is such a simple, fantastic tool. Man, pay attention.
Yes.
Ladies, you can teach this to them, right? I'm sorry your mother makes you mad. It could be me. I'm so sorry I upset you. I didn't mean to, right? Just meet her where she's upset, right? Watch her deflate. Right? She's going to deflate, and then I say the magic words. Is there anything I could do to make you feel better?
Oh, okay, Linda. Yes.
Now I'm the hero, right? And she'll go like, yeah, because she starts to walk out of that bad mood. Right? No, I'm okay. Like I just, well, I'm gonna go sit in the gazebo. Maybe you can bring me a drink.
Right.
I'm like, coming right up, babe.
Right.
Smack her on the butt. Send her outside. Right? And by the time I show up with the drink, right, I'll get my wife back.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to 3-4 hours of this crap, right?
Yeah.
So this is, so I teach men to meet you in your feelings, acknowledge them, anything I can do to help. Now you're the hero. You shouldn't let that bother you. You're the enemy. Simple. So again, I'm not a proponent of women ignoring their feelings. And then again, if he can't come and rescue you, right? I say, yeah, when this happens, babe, when this happened, made me feel like this. I didn't like it. I don't know if you did it on purpose. I don't know if that was the intention, but I really didn't like it. Can you pay attention to this in the future? What? Because that's what we do, right? You go, no, when this happened, when you said this, made me feel like this. I didn't like it. I don't know if that's what you meant, but that's how I took it, right? So help me understand. And you're going to be surprised that most of the time that's not at all what he intended, 97% of the time. So you get an explanation. That's not what I meant. That's not what I said. That's not what I was trying to say. Sorry to hurt your feelings. That's not what I meant. Or you get an explanation. You get an apology, an explanation. And now the plate is clean. That's how you do it. So it's all simple. These are all very simple script, but nobody teaches that.
No.
I just did. Take that to the bank.
Yes, and so it has just been wonderful. I cannot believe I just looked at an hour and a half is gone.
I know. We could do this all day long. All day long.
Well, I'm just so thrilled and just so happy. I just think that is just all this conversations, having this open conversation, sharing a different way of being, sharing, our strengths, sharing, how it works, and just really encouraging each other in couples to have those communications, have that type of conversation.
And what I say all the time, because everyone's confused, everyone thinks the other ones are misbehaving, and like whether you're dating or in a relationship, in a marriage, like it's just this constant kind of misalignment. I think big part of it is a culture, right? But I always say all the time, it's the things that you don't know that make you suffer. Not understanding a man's operating system and instinct, and not knowing how to bring out the best of him will make you suffer. And man is the same thing. Not understanding when a woman says, "I need so very little. Why can't I give you what I want?" We don't know what that means. You have to learn that, right? There's a reason. They're there's a really good reason for that, and it's actually beautiful when you get it. Like, oh my goodness, right? So how do you bring out the best out of her, understanding what she needs and her operating system and her instinct, right? If you do this, you'll get the best out of her, and this is how relationship works. Again, I want to say it. I say it all day long. It's what you don't know that messes you up. What you're assuming that's messing you up. What the culture is telling you that's messing you up, right? So the smart people come and learn, right? If you want, like, and you understand, like, coaching, there's a lot of coaching started with athletes, right? To be the champion, you get a coach, a team coach, but you have a personal coach. That's how champions are made, right? You want to make a ton of money, get a business coach or a money coach, right? You want to lose weight, get a nutrition coach, right? You want to be fit, get a trainer coach, right, for the gym. Want a good relationship? Get a relationship coach. Because it's what we don't know, that really gets in the way, and we point the finger and make each other wrong, and everything goes down the toilet. I don't want that for anybody.
Well, and I just want to really make sure everybody knows that this is what Andre does, and how generous, and like I said, he's just generous and kind and just giving, and really is committed to a better world through relationships with couples. And so everybody, they just go to your website, Equinox? Sorry, I said it backwards. Project Equinox.
.net. That's the website.
Yep.
I also on all the social platform, and I also have 2 gifts for the ladies listening.
Oh, nice! We love presents. Presents.
I mean, it's like my job is to change the world. My change is to recalibrate the dynamic between men and women, right? Because what's happening right now is when family system fall apart, society falls apart. People that get divorced, their kids are a victim of divorce, right? They've never been model healthy relationship. They can't create the healthy bonds in adulthood to create the healthy families to raise healthy children, right? So when family falls apart, culture, society falls apart. So my gut calling is we're going to reverse this along with disruptors. I'm a disruptor. You're a disruptor. Anybody with a podcast is a disruptor, right? Trying to make people think or rethink. There's a lot of us out there. So me, along with a whole bunch of people, are leaning into changing the narrative. Anyway, so I do 3 podcasts or so a week. Right? That's another way for me to spread the hope, spread the word. And I notice when I speak on podcasts, it seems there's 2 types of listeners. And we're going to let the listeners listening qualify themselves. The first type are people who kind of stepping into the ring, right? Like, what's that masculine and feminine thing? What do you mean we have both? I'm a man, I'm a woman, right? Like trying to start decoding and stuff. I call them information seekers. A lot of information seekers out there listening to podcasts, buying books, right? So if you qualify yourself as an information seeker, I'm going to send you directly to my email. You go to Andre, A-N-D-R-E, coaching, COACHING, the number 1 at Gmail, AndreCoaching1 at Gmail. Information seekers, in a text box, write Irresistible Book, and I will send you a copy. It's a book that I wrote called The 5 Feminine Qualities High Value Men Find Absolutely Irresistible. Ladies, I sell it on my website. I will send it to you. Just email me, AndreCoaching1. It's a workbook. There's 30 pages. You have to fill it out as you go. But this is my work with men. This is men speaking. And I want to say this, ladies, right? The 5 feminine qualities have nothing to do with your butt, your height, your hair color, your look. It's your energy. What energy do you bring that men find irresistible? Right. So, information seekers, come and get it. The other listeners typically are more like, you would be that person if you didn't know me, right? Like, resonate with this. Oh my God, wait, oh my God, there's something here, right? So I call them action takers. So if you're a more action taker, you resonated with anything that I said, and you want to have a conversation with me, AndreCoaching1 at Gmail, and it's subject box, right? Talk now. I'll send you my calendar link. You could book yourself an hour. It's on me. Right, and we'll talk about what's working, what's not working, right? The loop that you find yourself in, right? People who make that call. It's like going to the doctor. You go to the doctor because things aren't well, right? So I'm the love doctor. Okay, right? So if you find yourself in the loop and finding yourself struggling, right? Let's talk about it. And again, in 15 minutes we would decode how that started in childhood. There's always that. So that call alone, for some people, like, liberates them because they realize they're not broken. They're a product of their past. So if you're not broken, we could fix that. And let's say we fix that, what is the dream life look like? And then if you want, you can step in. There's different ways to work with me and start learning the stuff that you don't know, right? Again, that's what you don't know that's dangerous. I call it dangerous. Small, medium, large, just easy ways to step in. But, then this, I'm also an ordained minister. Some of my clients on the other side of the work, I marry them myself. I mean, the greatest honor. So I'm showing off now because this stuff works, right? So do the work, come and learn. But again, like I said, that call alone as an offer for some people to change their lives because at least they don't feel that they're broken any longer. They understand how they got to be in the loop. So that's what I have to offer. Again, and also as you email me, when the book or you could ask me questions. You could challenge me. I could back it all up. Seriously, I love a challenge because it's not my opinion. Another thing I'm talking about is my opinion. It's the work, the research, the data, the years of the masters, the 5 masters on which shoulder I stand on. It's not me talking. It's what we know works best.
Absolutely.
Voila.
Well, I want to thank you, Andre, and everybody. I told you he's just so kind, so generous. Take him up on his offer. His book is fantastic. His coaching is fantastic. All my women have nothing but just rave compliments every time I go, oh, who do you all want to have as a guest? They've already heard about you through the grapevine. So
sweet.
Yay,
That's
good
sweet.
for you.
That's sweet. Well,
so it is Project Equinox. And of course, I am Dr. Harmony and I'm with the Queen's Circle. And thank you all for joining us. And is there any final words you'd like to say, Andre? Final
words is always the same for me because I ask the same thing on podcasts. I always say, ladies, think for yourselves. Forget the culture, forget the feminist movement, forget everything you were told that you're supposed to be that doesn't line up with your natural essence, I want to say. You want to be a mom and a wife, go be a mom and a wife.
Right.
Forget the culture. Now, if you buy into that other thing, you're going to have some challenges sooner or later, I promise. One of my clients. So there's a modern way to make all this work. You could have a career, you could have a family, you could have everything you want in a different order that the culture presents. The way the culture presents it doesn't work. Oh, but there's a way to do it. Oh, come talk to me. But ultimately, think for yourselves.
All right. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, everyone. Once again, I'm Dr. Harmony with the Queen's Circle, and we look forward to seeing you again. Ciao.
Bye.